In today's video, we're going to sculpt an air dry clay Boo Pup Sculpture. Hi, I'm Stacy. Welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy and are inspired to create. Let's get started and go over the supplies we're going to use. I've listed them here on the screen for you. I know, right? Boo! It seems like a lot of products, and when you look at a list like that, it kind of seems like it is, or maybe that it's overwhelming. Trust me, it isn't that much. And you don't need sculpting tools. You can use your hands. You can use the back of your paintbrush. We only use 2 colors of acrylic paint, which are gray and black, which if you have black and white, you can make it gray. And we use 1 color of chalk paint, and we use antique wax and clear wax. But if you have Mod Podge, if you just want to go with the antique wax, you can. Or if you just have clear wax, you can use that, or any other type of sealant. Here I sculpted the armature, is what this would be called, even though we don't have any arms or anything coming off of it. I took newspaper, which comes in the mail. I didn't have, because it's hard to get your hands on newspaper today, huh? All the penny savers and stuff are no longer around, and so I just used what I had, all the junk mail I got. I wadded that up. You just crunch it up, and you make the shape that you want. So for the ghost, it's just an elongated, almost like a capsule shape. And then I rolled up the foil, put it around the outside, and then masked it with tape. And the more you sculpt your armature, the easier it's going to be in the end. Especially for this one, if you want to save some clay too. I used DOS air dry clay, and you can use foam clay, you can use Crayola Magic, you can use the foam clay that you get from the Dollar Tree or from Dollar General, or in any other air dry clay that you have. I chose DOS because it stays, for me, I can keep moistening it, and I feel like I have more playtime with it, so that's why I chose it for this sculpture. When I did the bottom of the armature with the ghost, I wadded up that and wrapped it around, but make sure that you attach that, whether using tape, you can use hot glue, and then I rolled out a sheet of clay and put it over it, and then used another sheet and melded them together, and then I sprayed it down, and I used water. I'm using some clay tools here that I got from Hobby Lobby. They were really inexpensive. I may have paid full price for them too, but sometimes they go on sale for 50% off. And they were only a few dollars. If you don't have that, you can use a popsicle stick, you can use the back of your paintbrush, you could use a spoon, you could use whatever you have around your house. You don't have a rolling pin to roll out your clay? Use a cup. You have a rolling pin for your kitchen? I don't know if I'd use that, but you could put saran wrap over it and use it. That way you don't contaminate it with the clay. I mean, there's a wooden dowel. Or you could just use your hands and flatten it out. And then I went in and I haven't added, you're going to see me add little bits of clay here and there. So if I had taken more time to get my armature, the base smoother, I wouldn't have to keep filling in. But I was trying to fill it in and smooth it out and make it as like a classic ghost shape, I suppose. The cutesy, just draped over. And so where there were thin spots on the clay, I just added a little bit and worked the edges in with the tool. And then where the pleats and folds were, I would go in, make an indent, and then smooth it out with my finger and some water. And if you've never done this type of craft before, try it. Did you play with Play-Doh when you were a kid? Play-Doh? I can't talk today. Play-Doh. This is the second time I'm doing this voiceover, by the way, because the first time I didn't have the proper mic setting, so I sounded like I was in a cave, but maybe I could have used that to my advantage and it could have sounded spooky. But it's no different than like playing with Play-Doh. And you just, if you just work at it, use the water, it's a lot of fun. It's just something different than paper crafting, and I love paper crafting. But I made this for my daughter. Her nickname is Boo, and she loves Ghost, and especially at Halloween time. So I'm always, every year I get her something. And last year I got her a Ghost mug, which I guess one of the kids dropped and is broke, but she still uses it. That's how much she loves the Ghost theme. So I wanted to make this for her because her birthday was this month, and so that she would have it for the holidays. For the arms, I just took a piece of clay, tried to make 2 equal parts, split it up. I molded it into the arm shape. I attached it with a wooden skewer. I used some wire snips there where it has the part where you could strip the wire, or they're like pliers. If you have kitchen shears, or even if you have a thinner wood skewer, you could even just break it in half. Whatever you have in your home, you can use popsicle sticks. And if you need to, you can glue it in there with hot glue gun. So, and then I just smoothed out the edges and blended the arms into the ghost itself. Here I decided I was just originally going to go with a ghost shape, and then I put this on the face because I wanted to be able to sculpt it. I wanted to add round cheeks. I wanted to add eyes. Once I put it on, it looked like a dog muzzle to me, and I had this light bulb moment. And my daughter and I had went shopping at Home Goods just a few days before this, and she bought a ghost dog mug from there. It was there were puppies all over it, little dog ghost, and she loved it. So when I saw that, when I put that on there, that's the direction I decided to go. Now I let this dry. It took probably about 2 days to dry, and the bottom that it was sitting on, I put it on that plate and I let it dry, and then once it got dry enough on the outside, I tilted it so that the bottom of it could dry, and then I would put it up so if there was a little bit of moisture on the back, then I would tilt it back. And honestly, it probably sat for a week because I started working on the pumpkin makeover right after I finished this, probably within a day or two. I started on the pumpkin, not even a day, I think it was the next day. And so I got distracted with that. So this dried for probably a week. You don't have to dry it that long. It just depends on how thick your clay is, what the temperature is in your home, what the humidity is. But I think it was pretty dry in about 24 hours. Maybe certain portions weren't completely dry, but if it's for the most part dry, you probably could seal it. And that's what I'm doing with the chalk paint. I'm just doing a base coat. I just want to get some paint down on it. It will not seal it for the long haul because chalk paint isn't always, you have to seal it. If you get chalk paint too wet, it's going to soften. And this is air dry clay. If I was to put this back in water, it would just eventually break down into mud. So that's what the chalk paint was for. And then I'm bringing in some paints, and these are just folk art paints. I got them at Hobby Lobby. You guys are really cheap there. They're like $1.07 or $1.17. And I believe that's the color medium gray. And as you can see, I put some on my glass mat. I put some water down, and I'm using it like a wash. Now, because I could have sealed this with Mod Podge, and I debated it, but I chose not to because I knew I was going to be sealing at the end with wax. If I had a lot more of that wash that I'm making out of the paint and water, I could have wiped more of it off and had more control. It's up to you what you want to do. If you want to see some other tips with the Mod Podge sealing and putting wax and paint over it and then sealing it again, in my pumpkin makeover, there's a lot more in there. And I'm hoping that even if you're a paper crafter, because that's mainly what I do on my channel, and you're here, that maybe you can get something from this. Maybe you have some air dry clay. Maybe you just want to see what the process is. I love seeing videos. I've been watching ones where they're sculpting pumpkins out of huge pieces of foam. Oh my gosh, it's wicked cool. Paper mache I'm seeing some do because I was inspired, or it probably ended up on my feed from my video of the pumpkin, and it's so cool. So I enjoy seeing other hobbies. I enjoy seeing epoxy and lots of other forms of art, and I hope you can enjoy this even if this isn't your jam, which it's not my jam, but it is fun. Reminds me of being a kid working with Play-Doh or playing in Play-Doh or playing in the mud. But in the end, I got something really cute out of it, and my daughter did originally. It was for her. Here's some old twine and what that I had in my stash. I used those dies from Lawn Fawn to cut out the felt. I cut out 2 of each for the word boo, so two B's and 4 O's. And I took the twine. I'm just holding it up. I'm cutting it to the length, and I'm seeing how long it is and finding the center. And then I folded it just so I could see a little bit of a kink while I laid out the felt letters, and I sandwiched the twine between. I'm going to go in and do it with hot glue. You could use pre-made foam alphabets. You could use pre-cut foam felt letters, excuse me. You could even use cardstock or chipboard. So, those, what are those called? The stackers or the chippers, or no, thickers, that's what they're called. Maybe you got that in your stash. You can use those instead and just sandwich them together. Or just use one. And if it's sticky on the back, take your embossing buddy, your powder, and put it on the back, and the stick will be gone. Or maybe you have a pre-made little garland. I wanted to make one. When we were out shopping, we were looking at different garlands. And it was funny because we were looking at some at Michael's when we went there, and she's like, "Oh, Mom, you could make that one." And I was just looking for ideas or seeing what's out. Sometimes it's fun just to buy it so you don't have to make it too. And I kind of chuckled because she's like, "You could make it." Because she always hears me say that. I look at it and I'm like, why would I spend money? I have all these supplies and I can make that. So we go out for ideas too, not, of course we get stuff too. Always have to replenish our stock or our stash, or have to get more yarn. Like, that's her thing, yarn. So there I cut out, I drew out what I wanted for the shape of the ears on a Post-it note, which cracked me up that it was on Christmas Post-it notes. Hold on. So I cut out the forms of the ears, used the Post-it notes to put it onto the felt. It was double layered up, and I cut out 4 ears. Those are safety eyes for when I crochet plushies. They're a little bit small for my plushies that I make, so I had plenty of them. I just took some snippets and snipped off the back just like we do the shanks of our buttons, and I had some noses as well. 2 different sizes, couldn't figure out which ones. Put some glue dots on there just to see which ones I like. Or which one I liked. I liked the larger nose. You could see it pulled up part of the clay. No problem. I'm hot gluing it anyway. There's the ears. They are sandwiched together. I did do a zigzag stitch on them on my sewing machine. Wasn't happy because I tried to do it on the edge and didn't do a good job. So I just did zigzags all over it, and it worked. And they came in okay. It added texture, and it allowed them to be malleable. Now, you don't have to do that. You can use hot glue to glue them together. You could use just 1 layer and not 2. Especially if we have thicker felt. And if you layer them together, you can also put some thin wire in there so that they're posable. And so I measured out where I wanted the ears. I held them up there, and I'm attaching them with hot glue. And see, because I had done zigzag stitches everywhere, they kind of hold their if I fold them, they're going to hold that bend. Or you could even take it if you put armature wire in it, or just thin jewelry wire, and you could make maybe one folded over the eye. Maybe they're blowing up in the air. Maybe it's scared of itself. Maybe you want to put it in front of a little mirror, and it's seeing itself in the mirror, and its ears are sticking straight up because it's scared. And maybe you want to put a mouth on it that's like, I mean, there's so many things you could do. So I added more pom-poms to the twine, and then I took my heat gun because I want to get rid of all the little wispy spider webs everywhere on the, you know how you get that from hot glue. And then I melted them down a bit. It helped to get rid of them. And then I went back in and I forgot to turn my camera on. There's black paint that I thinned out around the eyes and the nose, and a little bit more of the Waverly Wax, the brown. And so as you can see around the face, it has more depth and character because I thought it made it look more ghost-like. This is clear Waverly Wax, and this is what I'm using to seal it, and I'm going very heavy-handed on it. Now I painted the bottom of the pup ghost, the Boo Pup, if you will, with chalk paint, but I did want to seal it in. I didn't distress it or anything like that because I wrote a message. But see there, I'm showing you where I added the extra color around the eyes and the nose. I think it really gave it more character and depth. And I didn't even realize it, but the back of the ghost almost looks like it has a little butt crack. It's a pup butt. I think it's cute. You could put a witch hat on them. You could do all kinds of stuff. I mean, you could buy pre-made embellishments and attach them. I hope you enjoyed this little pup. I really did think it came out good, and was happy with the end result. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.